Hello and welcome to this session on reimagining your connected product strategy at the Thin-Edge I/O. My name is Jürgen Kramer and I'm the General Manager of the Business Unit IoT and Analytics at Software AG. Today, we're going to talk about an exciting new initiative, Thin-Edge I/O, the open edge framework for lightweight IoT devices, initiated by IFM and Software AG. Before doing so, let me quickly set the scene for you. Unbelievably, Industry 4.0 was publicly announced exactly 10 years ago, right here at the Hanover Fair. A lot has happened since then. More machines are becoming smart and connected. However, the industrial equipment manufacturers and machine builders are still facing the same challenges when it comes to creating connected products. According to VDMA, over 85% of the machinery, having an average age of 20 years in the field, still not connected. So connectivity is still a highly relevant topic in the industry with its own challenges. For example, how do you create a secure product that is still easy to manage? How do you create and operate a product that remains reliable and robust 10 years into the future? How do you do all this whilst balancing features versus costs? Addressing these challenges is not made easier by the lack of a standardization in industrial IoT. As the number of connected devices continues to grow, companies are being forced closer and closer to major, potentially irreversible decisions. Until recently, manufacturers had only two choices. Either continue and try to make sense of a jumbled technology landscape by themselves, or to go with one of the big cloud vendors. Now, there is a third option, the open source Thin-Edge I/O initiative. And that will be the center point of our conversation today. Let me welcome to the panel discussion Nadine Rahman. She's the CEO Digital Business at IFM. The IFM Group is a market-leading industrial automation provider and service-oriented sensor specialist, represented by more than 7,300 employees in over 95 countries worldwide. And second, Bernd Groß. Bernd Groß is the CTO of Software AG and founder of the Cumulocity IoT platform. He has a long track record in IoT connectivity and passion to harness co-innovation approaches to drive business success. Software AG, for those who don't know, is Germany's second largest software vendor with more than 10,000 customers in over 70 countries worldwide. Let me now begin with my first question. Nadine, as the CEO of IFM Solutions, you speak a lot to industrial companies, small, mid-size, and large ones, when it comes to industrial IoT. What are your latest insights and what challenges do you see out there?
Thank you, Jürgen. First of all, thank you for inviting me to our joint discussion on this exciting topic. We're very, very happy as IFM to also be participating within our partnership with Software AG on this topic, because this is also for us at IFM, coming from the industrial automation space, so from more the south part of the technology stack, a very, very critical one to the overall success and broader based spread of digital solutions to improve business. So what are we seeing at the moment? Is actually a little bit of a confirmation of our philosophy when it came to our own digitalization strategy and philosophy. So we basically set our IFM's digitalization strategy onto three main pillars. And those three pillars are actually three very basic words. Number one is open, number two is simple, and number three is interoperable, where you could actually equate open and interoperable. But the most important of those three is actually simple. This is the single feedback at the moment we are getting from our customers. And that's actually also feedback if you look to why most IoT projects at the moment are still failing. It's because they're too complex. The products are too complex. The technology setup is too complex. There's lack of knowledge in the organization. And industrial companies don't really want to build up huge competencies in technology areas where actually they want to improve their core business. A machine builder wants to build better, safer machines with smarter services at a cost-efficient operating process level. They don't want to spend money on building complex DevOps teams, huge DevOps teams in various countries to run a platform. That's not their core business intent. They want to focus on making their core business smarter and better and creating better products for their customers. So we very much see our job as an enabler with technology, with a toolkit, with an open toolkit, as a technology enabler, and be able to provide these tools to our customers so they can take those as a toolkit. Toolkit actually also is a little bit our imaging and our branding. And that's also what we see, because we want to provide our customers the tools so they can build their solutions in the easiest possible way to make their product offerings to their end customers better.
Okay, great, Nadine. Thank you. Yeah, open, simple, and interoperable. That's very important. I agree. Let me come now to my next question. Bernd, you know, the digital business is a platform business. Yeah, and in IoT, we talk about edge and cloud platforms, so distributed platforms. Can you please explain what they are, and if both are needed, how they can successfully coexist?
Yes, very important question, Jürgen, because, I mean, it's not anymore about cloud only or edge only. It's about a perfect harmony between these two environments. We really need to think distributed from a software architecture point of view, because the requirements of our fast-moving analytics is really enormous for enterprise to deploy a cloud and edge capability. You know, just think about artificial intelligence, how frequent you have to update your models, and you can only do that with a proper software management, which requires a cloud and edge integrated architecture. Another very important part is that you know, edge, the driver for edge, is becoming more and more obvious. You know, edge needs data aggregation because you cannot push all the data into the cloud. It doesn't really make sense, right? And then you need to have autonomy in your operations. So a lot of analytics require independent working. You need to have this, a working environment which is independent on the cloud connectivity. You know, sometimes you do have stability issues related to cloud connectivity. Therefore, edge is very much required next to the OT equipment you want to analyze or monitor. And last but not least, latency. You know, latency is a key driver for edge. You need to have near real-time or real-time capabilities, and you cannot guarantee that with cloud only. So hence, you know, the market has really moved on from cloud to cloud and edge. It's both play a very important role, both are required, and on top of both, you have to have a distributed architecture to manage analytics seamlessly.
Okay, understood. Now we know that distributed architectures are the future, and we know the drivers for running things at the edge. So please, Bernd, explain to us why the open source I/O initiative is so relevant and important to the industry.
Yeah, I think, you know, as part of the focus on edge, what we saw the last two and a half years, we also see now a separation of edge. So edge is not anymore just industrial PCs, or servers with industry gateways you put next to your OT technology. Edge has moved on. You know, you see now a lot of edge deployments on very small footprint devices. You know, 32 RAM type of devices who do analytics, or who need these devices need to be capable of doing edge analytics, and so there's a new category emerging, and therefore our terminology here, thin edge, you know, versus thick edge for server-based or industrial PC-based deployments. And the thin edge initiative here makes it really very important that you stay independent. So as a customer, as a developer, that you're taking an open initiative, an open source initiative, which empowers you to be multi-cloud, for example, so that you are really able to connect to Azure IoT environment, to AWS, but also in China use cases to Alibaba and so on. So really, or then in our terminology, also to a Cumulocity IoT cloud for software AG or any other one. So, that kind of is really what is very important to consider at the moment, is that we need to have an open source thin edge framework which empowers the end user to stay open and ensures they have the freedom of choice. That's really what we want to achieve with the initiative. Freedom of choice, no vendor lock-in for the end user developing edge analytics on top of an open source framework.
That's clear. So it's all about the flexibility, openness, to be able to design best of the breed architectures, multi-cloud architectures, and so on. Got it. Nadine, so over to you. What is IFM offering already in the market in terms of IoT software solutions? And why is Thin Edge, this Thin Edge IO initiative, so important to you?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, Jürgen. I can only echo what Bernd was talking about, especially in the context of hybrid. Yeah, and it's really interesting because we as IFM are actually coming from, like I say, from the bottom half of the technology stack. You guys are coming from the top half. Yeah, so you're coming from the platform, from the cloud. We're coming from on-premise, classic on-premise business. And now we're meeting in the middle almost, and the Thin Edge IO is another manifestation of this very complementary partnership between our two companies. So what are we doing so far? Actually, for us, this whole topic of edge is a natural extension of what we've already been doing for the past 50 years. As my boss, the owner of the company, likes to say, without sensors, no IoT. It's so simple. So we've been very busy with creating these devices that generate all these petabytes of data. And now it's all about what do we do with that data? So inside our devices, actually already today, we are also able to aggregate that data and make that data smart. So the data needs context in order for it to be used in a, how do I say, value generating manner in the processes themselves. Because if you think Industry 4, in the final stage, you want your processes to become more intelligent. That's what it's all about, right? So coming back to how we are approaching this, coming from the shop floor up now, with our now expanding edge portfolio, where we see Thin Edge, again, a natural extension of this edge portfolio that IFM is now developing. We now move from being the data provider in the automation space to an information provider in the digital space. So very much, also this understanding the world out there is hybrid for those exact reasons that Bernd stated earlier. Especially important, this topic of real time. We always like to talk about real time analytics and real time intelligence. If you have cloud, if you have that friction, that change of media, the whole topic of real time actually is no longer realizable. So super important for those time critical insights that you need in your process, in your running process. That needs to happen as close to the machine as it possibly can physically. Now, why Thin Edge? There's really no space in the physicality of the shop floor. So like Bernd said, we need to really decrease and minimize the physical footprint of that edge capability. In order to be able to do that, you also need to minimize the information how do I say, requirements from a information design, digital design footprint as well, to bring it onto that smaller physical footprint. So that's why, long answer, that's why thin edge is so important for us, coming from the opposite end of software AG, basically.
Yeah, it's really nice to see these two worlds, this bottom-up and top-down approach coming together, bringing in the combined expertise behind this framework and initiative. So Bernd, I also know you're very enthusiastic about SynEdge.io, and you talked about the advantages already. But can you point out also the risks of not adopting such an open framework to do edge computing, for example?
Yes, let me first also, make a comment to Nadine's point related to the OT and IT convergence, right? So that's what we will see more happening in the future. We need close collaboration and ecosystem of companies joining up, teaming up from these two different worlds. And, sometimes it's really hard. We're using sometimes, the same words and have different meanings with it. So it's really two different, software worlds, the embedded OT software world and the IT and cloud software world converting, coming together creates an enormous amount of potential, I believe, for industry 4.0. And therefore, we are really happy and very, very forward looking what this close collaboration will bring us. We're very excited on that. Now, coming to your question, Jürgen, I think what are the issues if you're not adapting an open SynEdge framework? I think that's a very good question because, it has never been so easy to develop everything yourself in today's world. If you think about that, you can develop your cloud application very easily on a hyperscaler. In the same way, you use open source components on an embedded world, and you create a whole end-to-end stack by yourself. Now, the issue what you're having with that is that you will run sooner or later into out of steam, so to speak. You run into innovation issues, into maintenance issues, into life cycle cost issues, into support issues, into quality issues, scalability issues. And therefore, we would like to make a proposal with the SynEdge.io initiative to join us on a common development environment where you can reuse a lot of work which has been done already by other partners of that ecosystem. So not reinventing the wheel again. So that is one area of risk I see. Think about partnering and not doing everything yourself. It's a different way today. Really think more about partnering in ecosystem than just doing everything yourself. That would be my first point. The second one I mentioned already earlier is the lock-in. There's no free lunch. There's a lot of people who offer you a free SynEdge technology, SynEdge, software. But what they really do is they lock you into their environment. There's no openness in that. You think it's open because it's open source, but it's not open in terms of multi-cloud, for example. It's directed to one single cloud provider. And that's what we want to avoid. You have to avoid strategically when you start your project. Ensure you retain your strategic options. Don't give it away without any reason. Ensure you retain your strategic options and choose an environment which gives you freedom of choice, freedom of hybrid cloud choice. And that's needed. We have a lot of international, multinational corporate customers who need cloud support in the US, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, in China, and therefore a multi-cloud environment is needed. So don't give up that choice. There's no free lunch. Select your partnership and your ecosystem well. That would be my answer to your question, Jürgen.
Thanks, Bernd. Very well done. We are all on an IoT journey, as you know. We want to innovate in this relatively new market still, industrial IoT. And being open and flexible is, I think, a key to have all options open further down the line, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense. Now the reasons are clear why SynEdge.io is a must. And I would like to ask you, Nadine, what use cases leveraging this Thin Edge IO at IFM or at your customers do you have in mind?
I know we're all very much chained to this whole idea of use cases at the moment, right? That's like the fashionable thing to do, think in use cases. Because we also want to converge IT and OT, and we want to make technology relevant for business. So the solution for that is always use cases. It's like the holy grail. But what we're actually trying to do now is open it up. Because do we already know the use cases of tomorrow? Do we know the use cases of in 3 years, in 5 years? What might be possible in 5 years? Yeah, we can wildly imagine with the influx of data and information and insights that we are only at the tip of gaining today. And should we be the ones to decide what the right use case in 5 years is? Or should the customer be the one? Should that person or that company who are expert in their respective field, in their respective industry, in their respective vertical, geography, country, you can put whatever you want there. It doesn't matter. Shouldn't they be empowered to decide for which use case they need that technology at that point in time? And that's exactly what we actually want to aim for with this, especially also so important, this open source approach, because exactly that. We don't have all the answers. Bernd doesn't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Our both companies don't have all the answers. The world is way too big and way too diverse, which is amazing. We want all of us to contribute to this and also use this platform as a knowledge sharing platform and an enabler through technology, so that our customers are getting a toolkit which is standardized, which is a universal adapter almost, that they can use to solve their business problems of the future.
I understand. So it's really about the toolkit, and also coming back to this IoT journey, you're right. We don't know where all this is going. And it's also very exciting to me to explore new use cases day by day and new business models. That's the exciting thing in IoT, right? So you're fully right. I get you there that this is more about the ecosystem, laying the foundation and then giving the tools to our customers to make sure they can use this for future use cases. Okay. Now, time is coming to an end, and let's also have a look at this ecosystem concept again. Can I ask you both to give one reason why our listeners, and I hope there are also automation vendors, sensor technology companies, and others, gateway vendors in there, why they should join Thin Edge IO, this initiative? Maybe we start with you, Nadine.
So we actually already have seen the success of and the power of an open network. So we consider Thin Edge IO very much as an open networking opportunity as well. And if we take the experience that we've already been making in the industrial communication space with IO-Link, where IFM was also one of the founding members, and we now bring this forward and translate that into what we aim for with our Thin Edge initiative. The power really there is for us in this whole topic of open networking and leveraging that network for a broader reach. So that's my one-word answer why Thin Edge IO is a must. Believe in the power of the open network.
Okay, thanks, Bernd. Over to you.
Yeah, super. That makes a lot of sense, Nadine. Thanks for sharing. So I think it's also about a strategic question related to your focus as a company. What do you really want to achieve in terms of how do you want to differentiate going forward? And where do you put your scarce resources in? And I've seen too many times companies redeveloping the wheel again and again. They're focusing software engineering power to areas which are already existing. And I'm sometimes wondering, why would you do that? Because doesn't it make sense to differentiate and focus your your engineering and your innovations towards the areas you can really make a difference in the market, compete. And that's something I really think why you should join the SynEdge.io initiative. If you believe in redirecting your engineering effort, not to the full end-to-end stack, building up proprietary yourself, but believe in the power of open source initiatives, enabling you to focus your resources and make it more efficient, make your digital initiative more efficient and also easier to operate. And that's why you should join us in the journey without lock-in. Again, this is without vendor lock-in. You're completely free which cloud you want to use. It's just an option to use, for example, the cloud services from IFM or from Software AG or any hyperscaler or your own services. It's really an open-minded initiative, and therefore I think you should really join and not lock you into a closed ecosystem without the choice of future, potential discontinuation.
Thank you both. So it's all about the open ecosystem, the exchange in that network. And Nadine, I really like this parallel with IO-Link, where IFM has proven that this can work to enhance the reach in the market. And it's working very well, plug and play connectivity. I've seen it live from AutoStand on stage. Just amazing. Okay, and with that, our interview is coming to an end. So if you are interested to join this initiative, please feel free to reach out to our panelists, Nadine, Bernd, or myself directly on LinkedIn, or get more information on our website, syn-edge.io. So thank you very much for your interest, and stay safe and healthy.